Welcome back everyone. We have got a great list of films to go through today. A few people have told me that they're a bit sick of me talking about Laurel and Hardy, and I completely get that. Valid. Those people will be pleased to know that I am moving on to obsessing with David Lynch for this video. For some reason, the films from this list, they seem to have a lot of parallels to Lynch, to me anyway. I'll leave it up to the audience to decide whether I'm being just like a fanboy or whether I'm making some interesting parallels. I have this dumb idea where I put like a counter, like a Lynch reference counter on the top of my screen just here. So every time I mention David Lynch, that counter will go up. It's going to happen quite a lot. Again, maybe I'm being a fanboy, you decide. As per tradition, I have seen 15 films from this time period, and at number 10 we have To Have and Have Not. This is directed by Howard Hawks. I've talked about a couple of his films now, those being Scarface and Bringing Up Baby, and I must admit, I was a bit disappointed by this one. This is, to me, the weakest Bogart film I've discussed so far. It just felt like another same old thing. So like Casablanca, Bogart's in love. He's an American living abroad in some exotic place, and it's got that World War II setting. And so he's tasked with smuggling a French resistance leader and his wife across the ocean.
My name's Harry Morgan. Beauclair sent me. Get that light out of my face.
Something way out of my gun.
What happened to Beauclair? Oh, he ran into a little trouble. What's your name?
De Brissac.
That's the name. All right, Eddie. Come on aboard. Hey, wait a minute. He didn't say anything about a woman.
Permit me, Captain. This is my wife, Madame de Brissac.
How do you do? What do you want to bring her? Oh, it's your funeral. All right, let's get out of here.
And then beyond that, what else is there? Am I missing something? Because to me, that's it. I might be a little bit biased because I watched this not long after watching Casablanca, and yeah, watching it, I was just thinking, oh, this is the same kind of thing, but blander. Less style, less quirky characters, just less everything. And though that does sound harsh, it's not completely a bad film because of that. Like, it does remind me of Casablanca, and Casablanca's really good, so this kind of just ends up being an alright film. At number 9, we have The Big Noise. Okay, Laurel and Hardy, I know, but in fairness to myself, there was a lot of Laurel and Hardys that I watched from this era, and most of them didn't make this list because a lot of them weren't very good. This one just managed to make it, and this will be the only one, I promise. So I like the broad premise of this. Stan and Ollie have been cleaners for a long time in hopes that they might be able to somehow climb the ranks and eventually become detectives. And then opportunity strikes.
What two detectives entered the office?
You and me. Stanley, this is our opportunity. We took this job as janitors to become detectives, didn't we? We've been going to night school studying for 8 months to be detectives, haven't we? You want to be a detective, don't you?
It's a little bit clunky, but I think a fun way to throw these characters into the situation. And like the best Laurel and Hardys, there were some genuinely timeless, stand-on-their-own sketches within this film. The best sketch in this, for me, is easily the sketch with the street sign.
What does it say?
I can't read it. I haven't got my glasses. Here, hold this. I'll climb up and I'll
Never mind. I'll climb up. You couldn't read it if you got up there. Glasses or no glasses. Give me a lift.
And interestingly, an appearance from Robert Blake. Look how young he is here. If you don't know who that is, he famously played a murderer in Cold Blood, which he's excellent in. But in my opinion, his standout role is the mystery man in David Lynch's Lost Highway.
It is not my custom to go where I am not wanted.
Who are you?
Give me back my phone.
And there's also this whole thing with the atom bomb. They've kind of crossed paths with some kooky scientist, and he's got all these wacky inventions.
This is one of my own little inventions. Everything desiccated and dehydrated. No standing over a hot stove for hours, no spoilage of food, no dirty pots and pans, no washing dishes all evening long. A housekeeper's paradise.
Some of the ideas actually do ring true to modern concepts. Unfortunately though, it is kind of wasted. They don't go that far with it. You know, you've got like a Laurel and Hardy meets Oppenheimer premise here.
Gentlemen, you are looking at what I consider the most powerful explosive in the world today. I call it the big noise.
And considering how cool that sounds, it's a bit flat. Like I've said with these 40s Laurel and Hardys, the main miss for me is usually the side characters, the side plots that they do. Just when it's not Laurel and Hardy, you just end up with this really dated, corny 40s comedy that just does not hit nowadays.
What have you got that fan on for? Turn it off.
Oh, I'm feeling fine.
The fan, turn it off. Hey.
And sadly, that's what most of this film is, despite having its moments. I'd just recommend this, only just recommend it, and only if you are already a Laurel and Hardy fan. And I've got another parallel to David Lynch here. The song at the end is the same song that Leland sings in Twin Peaks.
Oh, mares eat oats and does eat oats and little lambs eat ivy, a kid eat ivy too, wouldn't you? Now if the words sound queer and funny to your ear, a little bit tumble and jivey, say mares eat oats and does eat oats and little lambs eat ivy.
At number 8 we have Tarzan Triumphs. So this is a part of a long-running series. I ended up watching part 7 out of 14, and it's the only one I've seen. And I was kind of dreading it, to be honest. I thought like, oh, Tarzan, 1940s, it's going to be a bit dated and a bit boring. But I was pleasantly surprised. I actually had quite a lot of fun watching this. So it follows Tarzan, Tarzan's son, and their pet monkey just living in the jungle, getting on with their lives. Then suddenly they receive a letter of warning, a warning about the Nazis, which I did not see coming at all. Nazis? Okay, I'm in.
The world is at war again.
Why men have to kill each other?
Once more the Germans, Nazis they call them now, are on the prowl. More ruthless than the most savage beasts of the jungle. I bet you could kill those Nazis, Tarzan. Just like you killed Bulgat, the gorilla.
No. Tarzan killed Bulgat to save Jane and Boy. Why Tarzan kill Nazis?
And then things get even more interesting when the Nazis crash land in the jungle. And so initially Tarzan and his family, they're the good guys, they offer some help, but then inevitably they do wreak havoc once more Nazis arrive as a rescue mission. The effects and stunts weren't brilliant, but just how it was all studio bound and contained like that, I found it very charming at least. And I think the inclusion of animals, which I'm sure must be a bit problematic by nowadays standards, but still I thought it added a lot of fun to the whole thing.
Cheetah try dance.
They've got everything, they've even got crocodiles. At number 7 we have Lifeboat by Hollywood legend Alfred Hitchcock. So this is a one location film, one setting, it's all set on one boat, and so it's relying on the dynamics of the characters to carry it. And in that sense, I must say, I think it succeeded. I like the stakes here, there's a nice sense of urgency to the situation, you know, they're running out of food, they don't know how to navigate the ocean.
The sun this high, it's pretty hard to tell the points of the compass. I think it's out that way.
You think?
Doesn't anybody know?
Können Sie uns die Richtung Ost-Südost angeben?
Bitte sehr. Here.
He says east-southeast is in that direction.
And those stakes really heighten and bring out the dark nature that sort of exists in these characters. I think it's really nicely paced. I never really found myself bored by it, but I did want something a bit deeper, to be honest. You've got all these moving pieces, all this tension and unwarranted racism that's coming from the war.
Crew member or skipper, he's German.
Well, a guy can't help being German if he's born a German, can he?
Either can a snake help being a rattlesnake if he's born a rattlesnake. That don't make him a nightingale. Get him out of here.
Don't be silly, darling. He can't very well get off in the middle of the ocean, now can he?
Throw him off.
Have you gone out of your mind?
Throw the Nazi buzzard overboard.
That's out of the question. It's against the law.
Whose law?
With all that going on, this film definitely could have said a lot more. Instead, it's playing it pretty safe as just this intimate, small-scale thriller.
We're not heading for Bermuda.
So, yeah, I liked a lot about this. It's certainly an achievement to have such a pacey film in one location, but also, I think, one of Hitchcock's more disposable films. You sort of watch it, enjoy it, and then you're done. And it's got a great Hitchcock cameo. At number 6 we have Jammin The Blues. This short documentary showcases some of this era's most infamous jazz musicians. I'm not going to lie to you, I did not recognise a single one of these names. We start off with one man playing the trumpet by himself, and then more and more members join, and it just becomes this big ensemble jazz piece by the end of it. I feel like it's trying to mimic the actual form of jazz, the way it's playing with contrast, very literal contrast, using strong black and white and silhouettes, and then you kind of got like a wide versus a tight, and then you're playing with like symmetrical versus angled framing. And I love the overall energy of this. For 10 minutes it's very like upbeat, it's chill, and then we're just up and dancing. It's got a very like rhythmic pace to it. There's one shot that really reminded me of the jitterbug sequence in Mulholland Drive. And beyond the exciting presentation of it, it's just some genuinely good jazz music. At number 5 we have Laura. This noir mystery film follows a detective investigating the death of a young innocent girl, Laura.
Good morning, Lieutenant.
Good morning, Mrs. Treadwell.
Morning, Anne.
I've just taken over the Laura Hunt case.
But the more he delves into this case, the more of the truth comes out, the more the darkness and the secrets are revealed. She was a far more complex and disturbed girl than we realized.
Go on.
Diane was frightened, but knowing Laura as I've known her, I've learned to be surprised at nothing.
What do you mean by that?
Now, does that not kind of sound like Twin Peaks? Especially the first season, even down to some of the iconography. Like the painting of Laura is essentially playing the same role as the homecoming queen photo of Laura. They're functioning in the same kind of way where they're playing with the illusion versus the reality. I thought the whole story with the two men both falling for her and having this pathetic feud was a highlight part of the story for me.
I demolished his affectations, exposed his camouflaged imitations of better painters, ridiculed his theories. I did it for her, knowing Jacoby was unworthy of her. It was a masterpiece, because it was a labor of love.
That older man, especially, I think was a lot of fun. His pompousness and snobbiness really gave the film a great comedic edge.
Haven't you heard of science's newest triumph, the doorbell?
Now, this is no Twin Peaks, but it stands on its own as a good detective film. At number 4, we have Shadow of a Doubt, another film directed by Alfred Hitchcock and starring Joseph Cotten, who also appeared in Citizen Kane. And like Citizen Kane, actually, I did notice this film kind of leaning into that deep focus style. So this film follows a young girl who's got a suspicious uncle. She's quite naive and misguided, but she's determined because she knows something's up and she wants to figure this out.
Remember I said you couldn't hide anything from me because I'd find it out? Well, now I know there was something in the evening paper about you.
About me in the evening paper?
About you. And that's why you played that game with Ann and Roger. You didn't want us to know and you wanted to tear the paper. But now I know, you might as well tell me.
Well, you've got me there, Charlie.
And through that, she's thrown into these larger-than-life situations. She's taken out of this kind of innocent, naive lifestyle she's been living, and she's just thrown into the deep end. She's chucked into adult life.
I want to talk to you.
You're hurting my arm again.
You're coming here with me.
I can't. I've never been in a place like this.
Come on in.
And this is all working to challenge her worldviews, her perspective.
We're all happy now, Uncle Charlie. Look at us. For once, we're all happy at the same time.
But beyond being this coming-of-age story, I think it's also trying to tackle the darkness that can exist in sort of plain sight. Much like many of Lynch's films, I feel like this is working allegorically. Just the use of that scenario of the suspicious uncle and the young girl, and the abusive nature of their relationship. And that's really being reinforced by the mum character, who sort of knows something's up, but she won't speak up about it. To me, this is kind of reading as something that's trying to talk about sexual abuse within this family that's following these very ideal values, American values. The power dynamic that he has over her, where, you know, she can't tell the others. It's all reminiscent of a darker truth than what the film is actually exploring on a narrative level. I feel mean for saying this, but the kids in this film cannot act for shit. They're really bad.
She's crazy. She doesn't mean it really. If you ask me, I think she's putting on. Like girls in books. The ones that say they don't want anything always get more in the end. That's what she's hoping.
At number 3, we have Meshes of the Afternoon by Maya Deren, one of the most beautiful and talented women to ever exist. She's this experimental filmmaker who made a series of silent surrealist shorts in the 40s and I think the 50s as well. I'm going to be covering 2 of these shorts back to back, starting with this one. So, films that I've discussed before that are kind of like this, I would say A Page of Madness, and more similarly, I think Un Chien Andalou, which I think I just said wrong, but that film was very much going for the same thing as this, showing the audience a series of bizarre, unique images that don't completely click together, but it allows for interpretation and just an experience. And this is kind of different. This is completely silent. No talking and no music, no nothing. Completely pure silence. There are versions which have music in it, but I did go for the silent version because that was the way it was intended. And I gotta say, I thought I wasn't gonna like it, but did make for a very dreamy experience. With that complete absence of sound in the images of her kind of moving in slow motion, kind of felt ethereal and floaty. This might be one of the first films where I feel like I literally entered this sort of dream. I entered someone else's consciousness. Even though it doesn't make much sense, it does not feel empty. There's a lot of stuff to unpack here. I don't feel like I really have any satisfying answers, but if I were to take a stab at this, I think this might have something to do with guilt, like repressed guilt, some kind of violence, some kind of boyfriend stuff going on. To me though, it's clear she's forgotten something, it's clear she's trying to remember something. With that imagery of the key, she's trying to unlock a memory, and then the key turning into a knife, is that something clicking for her? Because then following that, you've got the stuff with the man. So it feels like it's kind of trying to lay out those dots and building that sort of narrative to me. And throughout there's this idea of self-reflection. There's literally the image of 2 of her. There's the figure that she's chasing, which is literally a mirror. She's chasing herself, she's chasing meaning in herself. Self-visualization, reflection. And then at number 2 we have At Land, a short film by the same wonderful, wonderful Maya Deren. Most of what I said about Meshes also applies here. It's got that incredibly striking imagery. For me, some standout shots would be that image of the reversing waves and then the camera panning to her. I just love the dreamy acting, the whole sequence of her climbing along the table / bushes, and the way that sequence ends with that shot of her perched at the end of the table with the chessboard, with this kind of abstract, seductive, confused gaze. Just such an iconic, beautiful shot of her. And again, it's just succinct with its presentation of these abstract ideas. I don't understand it, and I don't really mind that I don't understand it, because the experience of it is just so enticing. I'm just in awe at the emotional responses that it's pulling from me. But again, just for fun, if I was to try and break this down, something to do with men again, right? Surely. That long table with the men smoking, and I think the imagery of the chessboard, I see that as, you know, the gender divide, 2 polar opposites. We're seeing images of women, we're seeing images of men. And with that imagery of the beach, maybe that's sort of talking about the sort of different ways that a brain operates between the genders. Very much the Seventh Seal, that image of the game of chess against the sea. And why are the women associated with the sea? And then she gets further into land, she goes through the dunes, she goes through the bushes, and the more inland she gets, the more it's men smoking. What is that trying to say? I'll never know. And I'm sorry to do this again, but major David Lynch vibes here. At the crux of his films is this idea of entering dreams and going deep into the conscience. Films are dreams and so on. It would be very surprising to me if she didn't have an influence. And there were quite a few moments in the films that felt familiar to David Lynch scenes. I think both of these shorts are really as good as each other, but I'm ranking At Land slightly higher for now. I feel like you could ask me on a different day and it would change around because they're both so great. Both have their merits and both are incredibly compelling. Give these a watch because they need to be seen to be understood, and they're both under 15 minutes, so you have no excuse. And finally, at number 1, we have Double Indemnity, written and directed by Billy Wilder, who most famously did Sunset Boulevard. So we open on the confession of our protagonist. He's an insurance man, and he's talking about how he got involved in this murder plot.
Accident and double indemnity. You were pretty good in there for a while, Keys. You said it wasn't an accident. Check. You said it wasn't suicide. Check. You said it was murder. Check.
So basically what happened is he fell in love with the wife of a client, they start an affair and make plans for an insurance scam. They're going for double indemnity.
Listen, baby, there's a clause in every accident policy, a little thing called double indemnity. The insurance companies put it in as sort of a come-up for the customers. That means they pay double on certain accidents, the kind that almost never happen. Like, for instance, if a guy is killed on the train, they pay $100,000 instead of $50,000.
I see.
We're hitting it for the limit, baby. That's why it's got to be the train.
So they're gonna get their husband signed up for life insurance without his knowing, then kill him, make it look like an accident, and claim back the insurance. I like how the initial 20 minutes or so of this film feels very aimless. It's kind of hard to navigate where it's going. I think that's something that Billy Wilder does really well. It's a quality I like about his films. It's working to treat the audience as the detective, laying out all the clues, and you yourself feel like you're piecing it together by the way it's unfolding. You yourself are kind of picking flaws in their plan. You're thinking like, well, hold on, what about this and what about that? Is that really going to work? You know, in the moment, you kind of feel like, oh, this is plot holes. This is writing not really addressing these things. But no, that was all intentional. It's all laid out. And all those inconsistencies in the plan does play a part in the third act, which is mostly about the repercussions of all of this.
Would you care to roll yourself a cigarette, Mr.
Dietrichson? Oh, thanks. I really prefer a cigar.
Are these photographs of the late Mr. Dietrichson? Yes. Then my answer is no.
What do you mean, no?
I mean, this is not the man that was on the train.
Will you swear to that?
Mr. Keyes, I'm a Medford man, Medford, Oregon. If I say it, I mean it. If I mean it, of course, I'll swear it.
The film spends so much time lingering on the character dynamics and them setting up the plan, figuring out how they're going to execute it. You're really starved of the action. And so when all that dialogue pays off, it's just so rewarding and so exciting.
What are you doing that for? What are you honking the horn for?
It's on the edge of your seat tension, which to me is pretty rare in films as old as this. And the revelations that the protagonist and the audience are making about these characters, oh my god.
The nurse stood there. She didn't say a word, but there was a look in her eyes I'll never forget. 2 days later, my mother was dead. Do you know who that nurse was?
No, who?
Phyllis. I tried to tell my father, but I was just a kid then. He wouldn't listen to me. 6 months later, she married him, and I kind of talked myself out of the idea she could have done anything like that. But now it's all back again. Now that something's happened to my father, too.
There's just so much distrust and deception, which I think is heightened beautifully at the end. Just shrouded in this beautiful darkness, the mystery of it, really compelling and kind of haunting. By the 1940s, this low-light look has become very popular, but I think it's maybe not been done better than in this film. It's just taken to new lengths here. Like, it's so dark, you can barely make out the details, and it adds something. It really makes you focus in on the image, and therefore the film. Visually, just one of the most beautiful takes, I think, of this aesthetic. This is such a good film. It holds up incredibly well, and one of my favourite noirs of all time.
Let her sue us if she dares. I'll be ready for her, and that somebody else. They'll be digging their own graves.
So that's it. That's my top 10 films of 1943 and 1944. What did I miss? Was I wrong about anything? Most likely. There's always someone on the internet who knows more than me. I think I can wrap this up satisfied that I've provided at least 5 good recommendations there. That's goodbye from me then. Goodbye all.